Somebody was just commenting on Saturdays and noticed it's popped up. Be right back. Got a check train shop stove. It's 15 below again. Ooh. And that's going to get cold here in the middle of the week.
Live?
He's in Elko, Nevada. So he's kind of in the high desert, high desert area there.
He said it was 15 below?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right to me from Nevada.
Well, it's where it's northern Nevada. And I think the altitude there is pretty high. I've not ever been there, but I think it's, it's up there. Higher than we are here.
Sure. I guess if you were way high.
And you get up about 2,500 feet, it can start to get nasty real quick. But yeah, they're saying now 70% chance of snow here. I don't know if you guys are going to hit it or not. Oh, there's Jason. Hey, Jason, how's it going? We don't know. I don't know what I'm doing yet today. I think I'm going to paint some of the mountain over there if I can get my deal set up. And then I'm going to do a layout update later.
I'm taking a look at this Sterling, Colorado turntable is what I'm doing. I'm making some decisions on what to stain my wood in the kit, because that's one of the first things you need to do is stain all of the wood. So I'm going to take a look at what I want to do.
Jason says, do you want to finish this turnout for me while I rebuild my PC? You talking to Jason? I'm assuming you're talking about that curved yard ladder you're building. Have you seen that monstrosity, Dennis?
I've seen pictures of it yet. I've been meaning to go in and watch, because I know he did a video on building some turnouts here not too long ago, and I've been meaning to watch it. There's so many channels that, gosh, I just run onto the Bessemer and Lake Erie. I don't know if you found that channel that Rob Bennett highlighted a few weeks ago. That's a great channel. So I've been watching a bunch of those. But
no, I haven't seen that one.
It's so difficult to watch everybody's video every time, and I have no doubt there's tons of people out there that, just watch my videos sporadically as well. This is kind of the nature of the game.
Well, yeah, it's, when I started out watching stuff, I was watching Steve Brown, and that's back when you could click on somebody's name in the comments and go right to their channel.
Yeah.
Or not go to their channel. Yeah, I guess you could go right to their channel and subscribe. And that's what I was doing. And I must be subscribed to 300 or 400 people. There's no way in the world you can watch all that. But, that's what I was doing at first. Okay. And I just cleaned up everything in here so I could film. And now I'm going to get all the stuff back out. I'm waiting on some more sculpting mold. Let's see. Paint. This paint. And there's some of this paint. Okay, as it says in the title, guys, you might get a chance to see the answer to the contest question on the regular show.
I was going to ask, during the last Back on Track, are we counting the mines depicted on the backdrop?
No. No, the ones I'm building, the ones on the backdrop don't count.
Okay.
Those are not work. None of those are working, I don't think. Although the one over here looks like it probably could still be working, but this one over here is definitely dilapidated. No, those don't count. Just the ones I'm building. And I'll give you a quick pan. I don't know how to do this without taking this off. Oops. And then I turned the TV off. That wasn't good. Oh. Okay. Let me enlarge this right quick. Oh, where am I? I'll find out which camera I'm on. Okay. Now, not all of them are up yet and built, but there are some on here. So let's see. Let me flip this around so I can tell what I'm doing. I don't know why they make this so convoluted to switch your camera. Okay, anyway, here's the summit, and this is the main mining district.
I think you've got the wrong camera pulled up on the.
Oh, do I do have it?
Yeah, we got a good shot of your.
My ass?
Well, no, not yet, but your stomach.
Well, that's just as bad, I think.
There we go.
Okay, anyway. Okay, here's the end of the mining district. And I'll pan around here and you can kind of get.
I really like that fascia. It looks good. Everything.
And that's all
good.
the mining district. But that's not all the mines, guys. There's more than that. Not a lot more, but there are more than that. So anyway, that'll maybe give you a chance to guess, and you can put it in the comments of the last show we did, yesterday's show, or Saturday's show. Put it up here so it drops on the floor and shatters my phone. Let's see. Oh, well, it won't work if I don't turn the camera back around, will it?
Camera management.
Oh, man. Well, that's the one thing I don't like about StreamYard on this is the actual camera, switching the camera. You got to go into the settings, and it's like 4 buttons you got to hit to switch the camera around.
Yeah.
I don't like that, but yeah, that's a pretty good shot. I'm going to paint that mountain right there, I think. Of course, I took my backdrop or my drop cloth and everything else down too, but I don't think that's going to be a problem today. Well, I sure wish Microtrains was still building their cars for HON3.
Yeah.
They're nice little cars, and but I don't know, they quit. I don't know when they were making them, but all the ones I've found have been on eBay, and all I can find anymore of them is either flat cars or reefers. Well, I've got enough reefers. Plus, I got
reefer. I think I've got 1 flat car and 2 reefers. My only complaint about them is the knuckle cuppers don't really want to hook up to the Blackstones. You have to put a little pressure behind them to get them to go in.
I've got some Blackstone. I've got maybe a dozen Blackstone different cars that I bought when I got a good price. Found a good price, and I bid cheap, and nobody else bid on them. And of course, that was almost 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
So
I just picked up a string of 3 gondolas. Gondola. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce
it. Gondola is the one that goes up the mountain.
Is that
That's what I'm told anyway. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I'm told.
But I got them for about 20. I got 3 of them for about $25 more, maybe 50, than what one has been going for the last 6 months to a year.
Wow, yeah. See, I
bid on it. I bid on it going, I'm never going to win this, but this is what my bank account says I can do today. So I bid on it, and I was like amazed that I got it at that price. And I think it probably had to do with when they set up the end of the sale. I think I got lucky because I think it ended like at 2:00 in the afternoon or something crazy that nobody was paying attention.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it could be. Yeah, I got the most expensive one that I bought was about $40, and that was for a Gramps tank car. All the rest of them I got for less than that. Maybe usually in the 30s. But that's like the locomotives. I've only got one. I think the one that's up here now, the 345 that I've got up here on top, I think that's the only one I paid more than $410 for. And I paid about $500 for it. But I wanted one more C19. And I sold my Shay. I had a Roundhouse Shay kit, and I sold it to Michael McCarville because I didn't think I was going to use it. And in fact, it might have, no, it's not an HO. It's not an HO scale. It's an HON3. So I sold it to him because I didn't think I'd use it. And then I decided to put the mining district in well after that. And I thought, that'd be good to have it sitting up here. So I'm bidding on another one, see if I can get it at a good price and build it later and put it up here. I've got a neat little Joe Works tank engine that somebody had, dressed up, painted, and it's really cool. It's got a spark catcher on it, and, it's a neat little engine, but that sucker's only about 2 inches long, and there is no room to put a decoder in it. I don't think I could get one in there. It runs good, but it's only DC, so I don't know if I'll even end up using it or not. But anyway, okay, what's everybody talking about here? Hey, Wigwag. Thanks, Jason. Jason uses OBS for multiple cameras and feeds in StreamYard.
OBS?
OBS. I know a lot of people use that, and I've seen it, but I've not ever gone into it and looked at it. It's, for the show, it's not that big a deal because we're just right there. Now, Shannon might have been using that. We started doing the bean shows during the pandemic in 20, and that's when I did most of this mountain. And but Shannon was running the show then, so I don't know what he was using, but we had a lot of cameras going. Yeah, Jason, you got to if you like Shays, get up to Georgetown Loop, just west of Denver, before you get to the Eisenhower Tunnel. That's what they use to run the Georgetown Loop up there. And you can go see lots of videos of it. Hey, Allie. Allie's up in the middle of the night. Okay, now I gotta find stuff to put all this paint in. What will I do? What will I do?
I think I need to find a tray so I can just do all this at once instead of dipping each individual board.
Well, tell them what you're working on, Dennis.
Well, I'm working on Sterling Colorado's. I think this is a 90-foot turntable. I can't remember what the length is. But,
it probably is because they were a full gauge. The Midland was. Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's a little better shot. You can go see around me a little better, I think. Yeah, okay.
Lots of little pieces of wood.
Well, I just use plain old craft paint that I get from Hobby Lobby. Boy, I remember when I first was doing painting the mountain. Oh, I got way too much in there. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, I'll shift this up. I was scared to death of painting it because I'd never done one before. And I started painting, and it turns out it's not that hard to do.
All right, I'm gonna go see if I can't find a little tray to put that stuff in. I know I've got one. I just don't know where I put it. I think this will work. Question is, will I be able to put it back in the bottle if I've got any left over? Also red, but it's short. These have no colors associated with them.
Nice thing about painting with this craft paint on the plaster like this is if you get too much on there, you just blot a little bit of it off. And you don't have to worry about covering. I don't know if you see that. It's not covered solid. But I'm going to be adding other colors to it, so those will come in too. You know, if you want it darker, you put a little bit more paint in it. Oh, that's good. Just stuck my arm in the paint.
So you're not
a little bit lighter, you get it with a little bit more water on it.
You're not using Bill's method?
Not on these, no, because these are castings. I guess I could do stain, but I want these more gray than brown to match these backdrops.
Yeah.
I didn't mind doing it down here on the bottom because I wanted that to look a little different. But these I want to look more like the granite that you get up there a lot of.
I wish this was a little.
So when I add the water to the craft paint, I just add the water in. I don't mix it. That way I can dip down in the bottom of the container and pull up just paint, or mainly just paint on the brush, and get the darker look that I'm after. If it starts getting too diluted, I just add more paint to the jar. And don't worry about too much about what it looks like at this stage for sure, because it's going to change quite a bit. The other nice thing about the craft paint is you can wipe it off of just about anything, even after it dries, because it'll rehydrate. See, that was a little bit darker than I wanted, so I just got it a little wetter and then come back and blot some of it off.
How many different colors are you going to use?
At least 3 or 4, maybe more. Sometimes if I've got, I want to show maybe a little copper in the rock, something like that, I'll put some green in it. But I usually use this gray. This is a medium gray. And of course, then I tone it down with the water amount. And I'll usually use a sienna. Let's say, burnt sienna. And that gives me the red tones that you get in a lot of these. I don't know if you can see it in this backdrop, but a lot of red in this. It's muted, but there's a lot there. It's not as much as you'd see in Red Mountain, over Ironton area, but it's still got a lot of red in it because there's a lot of iron deposit in the San Juans, and that's what most of this is, the San Juan Mountains.
Bernard, yes, I believe this is a powered turntable. If it's not the exact model that they use at the Durango Silverton today, it's very similar. I believe this has got a little shed cantilevered off of one side that I'm assuming the motor's in that would make it go. I really wanted like a gallows turntable, but they're hard to find, and really the only ones that I have found are not long enough to turn a K36 or a K37 on. And that's kind of
Dennis, you can make it a gallows.
Do what?
Just add the gallows to it.
Well, but it would still have the metal girders underneath, unless I want to scratch build that part up, which I have considered. But since I've already got this is what I'm going to go with for a frying pan.
Yeah, so you're doing a little earlier era than I am. And
well,
I
don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I got lucky on mine over by my roundhouse. That guy in England, at Kitwood Hills.
Yeah, they don't make HO anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, I don't know why he's not. But yeah, it was like
maybe if you were to call him, maybe he would do a one-off or something like that. For
he might.
The right price.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I want to invest that much money in.
I only paid $80 for that one I got, and it came with the motor.
Wow.
Yeah, it was and it was a laser cut kit. It was fun to build, and I was just lucky I found him when I did, because he discontinued that not long after I bought mine. And I don't know why he has, but he's doing mainly O scale now.
Yeah, and I think he's got some S as well. O and S is all I see on the site right now.
Well, and I noticed most of them he's aimed more at English prototypes now than American.
Yeah. Jason's wanting to know where you got your backdrop.
From Lark Products. He's out of Jamestown, New York. Great guy to work with. He can take stuff out of the picture for you. He can reverse stuff. In fact, the picture that's over behind my yard, my main yard, actually has a train on it, but I've got that train covered with flats, and it's one of the narrow gauge trains, because that's actually up above Chama, New Mexico, is where that picture's from. But I asked him to reverse it because I wanted the hills kind of sloping the other direction. And so he did that for me. And then he got to thinking, he goes, "Oh, it's been so long since I've done a reversal." He said it was a lot of fun. I forgot I had to go in and reverse the train picture too, because the lettering and everything was backwards otherwise. And so he had to go in and do it also. But yeah, he's a good guy to work with. I'm using the one that's a heavy vinyl, almost like a shower pan material, if you know what that's like. He's got 3 different kinds of papering, put it on. Self-adhesive. This one's a non-adhesive. I stick it up with double-sided tape, which works just fine, but it's a little easier to deal with. And mine, the ones I get are about a little over $10 a square foot. The other ones are a little bit cheaper. Not much, but a little bit. So it just depends on how much of a backdrop you need. If you need a lot, it gets expensive. But they're great backdrops. And he's got stuff from all over the country. You know, I've looked at a lot of different ones, kind of like Jamie Ricard, or not Jamie. What's his first name? Ricard. He does Trackside Scenery. He's actually prints his. He prints stuff for business. And I looked at some of his, but he's over like in Pennsylvania or Virginia, and it's mostly that kind of scenery, which I didn't want. So I didn't go with him. And there's another one out there, model backdrops, that they do basically the same thing. It's all, you know, generic kind of backdrops. Well, I didn't want a generic backdrop. I wanted specific kinds of mountains and stuff. And I wanted autumn if I could find it. That's why, you know, I've got all the aspen trees and stuff. And I just like that look. You can see here the aspen trees on this one. But I just think it's a beautiful time of year in Colorado, and it's, you know, it gives good color to the backdrop. And I still got to get Brenda up there on the train in the fall.
I deliberately stayed away from autumn. Of course, I guess I could still make a different decision at this point, because the only trees I have are on my time saver, which I could, in theory, replace all of those. But I have seen so few layouts do autumn well that I'm thought, you know, I don't want that to be me. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's
well,
the right way to look at it or not. But to me, green is so much easier to pull off than varying shades of orange, yellow, auburn, you know, whatever.
Well, so, the thing is, once you get up in altitude in Colorado, you don't get a lot of the oranges. Those are the deciduous trees, and they don't get up that high. So all of this is pretty much up in elevation, you know, like the picture behind my yard over here, behind the flats on my yard. That's at 10,000 feet or damn close, because it's up by Cumbers Pass. It doesn't look like it's that high, but it is. And so there's not any deciduous trees up there that I saw when we took the trip. They were all aspen and pine, different kinds of pine, but I don't know why I'm bothering to paint that. I still got to get another rock mold back in there. You guys can't see what I'm doing here. I'll turn this. There you go. The only one of the things you got to watch with this technique is where your water's going. So you don't want to get too much water on it, because it'll just run, obviously. So you got to kind of think of what's underneath you.
Jason says that train junkies let him take pictures of his area and then stitch the photos together to make a landscape that's, I guess, actually from the area he's modeling. That's pretty cool.
I think it's Joey Ricard over with Trackside Scenery. I think he'll do the same thing, because, like I said, he's an actual printer. He's got the big format printers and that kind of stuff. And I believe Joy Ricard was actually an engineer too. I'm not real certain on that, but that's where I found the touch toggles. He actually had Ken from Barrett Hill Trains over there showing how the toggles worked, and I thought, boy, those are slick. And
I do like them, and it's still something that I will look at closer when I'm ready to start building my final panels instead of these temporary ones that I'm doing. I'm not 100% sure how they're going to interface with LCC and or the space that they take up in a panel, if that's going to be conducive to what I'm trying to do or not.
Well, yeah, the space they take up is not in depth because they're only 3/16 of an inch deep. It's the width. They're all not has a 3/4. Let me look right quick.
Put some lids on these things before I end up with a huge mess. Cussing and
measure with there,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're 3/4 of an inch square. Is what they are. Dennis.
Yeah, that would make, an array like for a ladder. If you want to do what I'm doing that has an extensive ladder, that's going to make that pretty wide. Because those
they come in the two lights like this.
They can stack right on top of each other.
You can get a 2-light. You can get a red-green 2-light or a red-red 2-light or a green-green 2-light. And I went with single lights. But yeah, on this panel here, the one I was showing Saturday on the show,
yeah,
I had to watch how I was rearranging before I marked off where I was going to have my clear spots on my track. So I knew these would fit in there. But I just tape them to the back of this with Scotch tape.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much. He uses a double-sided tape and puts it over the face of it, but I didn't want to put it over the face of the lights.
Yeah, see, all that stuff that I'm going to work out eventually, because I do want lights on my panel, and, I realize that most people don't really give a crap about my LCC and how all that works and stuff like that. There's a very small number of people that are actually interested in that. That's why I tend to not go into any real great detail on the channel because, I just figure people are going to, I'm fast forwarding through this, so why waste my breath? But how I'm going to approach frying pan is going to be a little bit of a mind bender because I do want to incorporate routes through there instead of just a toggle switch, where you push the button once, it goes diverging. You push it again, it goes non-diverging. I want there to be some intuitiveness to where maybe I push 2 buttons and I've created a route through, 6 different turnouts.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I wanted mine more hands-on than that because mine's not near as big as yours either.
Yeah.
But I could see how that would work real well with the way you've got your staging set up. See, and I put my staging in strictly as an afterthought. It's only standard gauge. I don't have any staging on the narrow.
Yeah, Jason just says that some of the LCC videos get lots of views because there's not a lot out there on it. And I agree with that. As a matter of fact, I think one of my biggest videos is an LCC video.
Yeah.
So,
well, my most watched one is how I wire a tortoise.
Really?
Yeah. Which, they're not hard to do. and I kind of did it in passing. Somebody had asked me if I would show how I did it, and they're real simple because they got those double pole, double throw switches in them for your, wiring your frog and all that mess, which makes the Fast Tracks turnouts real easy to do. I do have a couple of frog juicers on the ones that don't have a moving point.
All right, now I'm going to do these little chunks of wood. I hope that this whole kit is here. I have
you get it off eBay?
Yeah, it's because it was obviously somebody had dug into it and yada yada yada. See what Jason says. That's what I'm trying to figure out now. One button to line routes. Our circuits has the tortoise tabs and that's what I use. Absolutely, it is the best way to do it in my opinion. It's a little pricey, but and Jason, all I can say for sure, you're talking about routes. The higher level tortoise is going to send its produced event to the next one down, and the next one down is going to consume that produced event. That's how you to create a cascade or whatever with routes, especially if you're talking about a yard ladder. That's how it's done, or at least that's how I did it. There might be more than one way, but it's really handy. Because generally on a tortoise, you're only consuming something that you've produced with a push button. And whenever you do that tortoise, when it fires, it's going to produce an event that most of the time never gets used anywhere on the system. You can send that event to the next tortoise down and it goes, oh, I just went diverging. I need to go to diverging as well, or to whatever.
Yeah, it's a chain. Yeah, a chain.
Yeah, it's a cascade of events.
Because you can obviously take the tortoise and hook it to one, like I hook it on to do a crossover. Actually, he offers on those touch toggles it's a 3-light setup. It's an extra little deal, and it plugs into the side of the one toggle, and it gives you 3 lights for your crossovers. And so you've got, when you're on the crossover, your crossover light's lit, but your 2 straight through routes are then not lit or change in color, however you do your toggles. Yeah, and that's really cool. So he's got all kinds of different ways, and the one for the 3-way switch is the same way as the Y. You just push whichever route you want, and it automatically changes both tortoises to what it needs to be, which makes it a lot simpler than having to figure, okay, I got to throw this one and this one. You only have to push the route that you want. So in that case, in that regard, it's a lot like the LCC. But what I would do, Dennis, is call Kevin, tell him what you're doing. And I mean, he's a electronics computer kind of guy. He'll probably knows all about LCC, my guess.
I know that you can use them with LCC. I'm not sure how they interface with each other. I know that you can use them though, because I've seen an article or two on the groups page that mentions it. See, Jason says, I'm using the quick link buttons from RR circuits. I've got the tortoises moving correctly with the button. It's getting the red button that changes green to change the other green button back to red. See, I haven't messed with any of their new buttons. I was at home.
That looks much better just being gray.
Be glad to show you all the problems I've run into.
That look better than white?
Do what?
Doesn't look like it's got. Does that look better than all white? It doesn't have snow on it anymore.
Oh yeah, it looks much better.
And that's just gray. That's just the one color so far.
Just looks to me like you need to go very what's the word I'm looking for? Like a pin wash into the deeper crevices.
Oh, I will. Yeah.
With the
Because
darker.
the black, a lot of people use black first. I use the black as the wash at the end. And that's where you have to be real careful to block a lot, because you don't want too much black. Some places you do, but then when you shove your brush in there, it gets on everything else too. So you come back off of that. The other thing is, if you come in and put another color on while this is still damp, it blends a little bit better, I think. But some colors you don't want to do that. Some colors you want to put on the outside of what it is. So you kind of have to wait until it dries a little bit more. But you just play with it, and it's so simple. And if it doesn't come out like you want, you just repaint it.
Yeah, that's the good thing about doing something like that, is there's really you can't really screw it up unless you just go extremely too dark and just have fun with it, and it generally always looks pretty good. That's why
I don't start with the black, because if you start with the black, that's what
happens. You can't ever light it
too
back
dark,
up.
Exactly. It makes it real tough to come back and get it lighter. See, a lot of this I'm painting on here now will get covered with ground cover, but I want to get the basis of it dulled down.
I need to put all of these at a different spot. Just so, oops, looky there. I've already made a huge mess.
Ruh-roh.
Hey, it happened to make a mess right where I've got a pile of wood that needs to be that color anyway. Maybe I can soak it up with some wood real quick here. There they are.
Now, the one thing I don't like about Sculptamold is the way it takes paint. I'm not crazy about that.
Yeah.
The regular plaster, which the main mountain is all regular plaster. I've got very little Sculptamold on it, but you can see you can see right here, the difference between the rock, how the plaster rocks take the color, and the Sculptamold. It's not the same. It's almost like it kicks off a lot of the paint. Now, this is a lot thinner wash, but it just doesn't take the paint the same.
Right. Yeah, it's because you've got material in there that absorbs at different rates. Yeah.
But like I say, most of this is going to get ground cover on it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I just wanted an undercoat on it.
It's not the way I intended on actually staining.
Oh man, I had to buy some more of my stain. I couldn't find any in the States except at I think Micromark had some. They wanted more to ship it. That Hunter line that's made in Canada. It's a man and his wife that make it, and it's the creosote stain, the one I use the most. And I went to buy it. Well, of course, it used to be $8.95 a bottle. Now it's $13. But that wasn't the kicker. The kicker was the shipping. $26. So I bought, but it was a flat rate, $26 if I got it from Hunter line. So I bought 3 bottles.
Yeah.
Thought I might as well make it worth it.
That's what I'm using right now is Hunter line.
Yeah, it's a good stain. And there's Michael McCarville's been using another one too, and I haven't looked it up. It may be cheaper, maybe easier to get.
The best stains?
No, I think it's a Vitro or Virtro or.
That's what's written on the bottle, but they're supplied by Best. Yeah.
Ah, okay. I haven't looked those up, but I know he's got about as many bottles from each of them.
I'm real happy with. I've got this stuff from Builders and Scale. Uh-huh. And They've got some stuff called deadwood that I really like, kind of mixing and matching with other colors at the same time to provide a little bit of color variation. And they've got some stuff called silver wood that I like. And really all it is, I would say, is just a really good version of alcohol and India ink.
Yeah. Well, that's all I think Hunterline uses. I like that creosote because it gives that look of wood that's been sitting out in the sun for a long time, bleached out.
You think
and
the
that's what I
creosote,
use.
to me, the creosote is too dark.
No, that's what I used on the stock pins.
I thought it turned out darker than the tie brown, which is what I'm using right now. Mostly I'm using tie brown.
Well, now on this it's darker, but I went over this a couple of times too with this tipple. As I don't know that in the picture. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit darker than the other stuff.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I remember. It has kind of a blue color to it after the fact.
Yeah. And like I say, it looks like wood that's been laying out in the sun forever. Now, I do use the brown. I'd have a dark brown that I use. But I use this creosote to do my blacktop roads on that concrete patch. It soaks it into that concrete patch. It looks just like asphalt.
Yeah. Let me see what Jason says here. Jason says, basically has 5 buttons, one for each track. I only want one green at a time to go represent the track that you line. That sounds cool. I've got the push buttons working perfectly that controls individual turnouts, with each control disabling the buttons on my dispatch panel for JMRI in the main line. Yeah, see, I haven't done anything with JMRI at this point except program the LCC. Anything I do with JMRI will be after the fact. So I can't say that I have any thoughts on what he's got going on there now. Jason, are your buttons, do they design, are you got them where they toggle, or how do you have them working within LCC? Are they toggling? One push equals diverging, one push equals, I mean, is your input set to alternating? Or is it normal? Momentary pushed with built-in LEDs. I want to say that that's similar to how I did my time saver, but it has been so long since I did the time saver, I can't really remember how I configured everything there, because it's a little bit different than what I did in my staging yard.
You're old.
I know. Loss of memory is a real thing.
Yes, it is.
If I sat down, I got 2 different pair of glasses, one that kind of lets me see a little bit further away, and then some that I need for something within 18 inches. If I set one pair down, sometimes I'm 45 minutes looking for them.
And then you find them on your head?
Can't say that I've never done that. I may have done that once or twice.
Yeah. Well, it's like being in a shop and looking for a tool, and you spend 20 minutes looking for it, and then you look in your other hand, and there's where the tool is. I've done that many times.
I don't think I really need to continue doing this individual. But like that one and that one. I want to dunk in a different color stain just for a little variety.
Well, the other thing with the craft paint, you get it on here, like I'm putting this red on here now, and I'll usually blot off anything that looks too dark right away. But a lot of times it'll lighten on its own as it dries. If you've got enough water in it, it won't be as dark. I find that with the black, because when I'm doing my black wash, it looks the best when it's wet. And as it dries, it tends to kind of mute out.
Let's see who else we got in here. There's H&H Express popped in. He says hello. We got number 33.
Oh, Stephen. Hello, Stephen.
Yep. See if there's anybody else we've missed that's might be hanging out with us.
Yeah, that's the problem with Beans, unless somebody's sitting at the computer.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to work and look at the computer at the same time.
Yeah, I've got it over here to my left. I didn't have I tried to put it directly in front of me so I could kind of keep up with Chad as it went, but there just isn't enough room for me to do that. I guess I could put it up high above me, but okay. These this thing. Oh, those are shorter. These are distinctly, or at least that one is. Is this one the same size? It is. I don't know if it should be a part of that or not. All right, now do these other longer ones, the thinner material. You know, and sometimes wood it takes stain differently. That's just all there is to it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, you know, the balsa wood, like I did that cribbing that I showed you the other day, and I can show it here again in a little bit.
Is that balsa?
It's balsa. Normally I use basswood, and basswood's harder, so it doesn't take the stain the same way.
Mm-hmm. I'm probably getting these parts mixed up. I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out later.
If you remember.
Yeah. Some of these you can still see the color on the end of the after the stain. Like I can tell was probably red. That's what I'm trying to do is stain them one, you know, like now I've got like a baby blue type.
Mm-hmm.
I want to stain them all at one time and try and keep them together since they're all the same size. Which probably won't end up working. H&H, I'm building a turntable. It's the Sterling, Colorado turntable. Step one is supposed to be built to build the pit, but I skipped step one and went straight to step two, which is staining the wood, because I figure it probably doesn't matter. It requires 1/4-inch plywood, 1/2-inch plywood, and 5/8 inch plywood. and I don't
Man.
have all of that at the moment. I think I've got the 1/2 inch for sure, but I don't think I have 1/4 inch or 5/8 either one. So that'll be a trip to the lumber yard. They're all supposed to be cut 1 square foot each, and then I think you obviously cut out a hole and yada yada yada. And really, probably what I should do is build the pit first, because that's what I'm going to need the soonest when it comes to doing the track work and frying pan. Okay, this is a wasted effort. I'm just going to dunk all of those. and hopefully they, I don't know, let me see if they provide the measurements in the instructions, because if they don't, and if I'm relying on the color of the, what do I do with them? If I'm relying on the color of the wood to make a determination of what it is I'm doing, then I definitely want to keep them separate from
Is
each
that
other.
how they did? They coated it with paint on the end of the sticks?
Yes, but what do I do with my sticking there they are.
Well, that's where you need to just make sure they stay in the same pile together, so you know which ones are which.
Okay, so it provides the dimensions and the color, so I'm good.
Yeah. But sometimes the dimensions can be a pain in the butt.
Red is a 10x10. Light blue is a 2x4. 1x6 is olive, yada, yada, yada. So I should be able to, with my scale ruler, figure out what it is I'm looking for, unless
Your stain swells it up and changes the dimension.
yeah, that is a possibility.
Yeah, it's not too terrible though.
I think I'll be able to figure it out.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Jason. If we don't see you before then.
Yep. Jason has videos on the push buttons. I'll definitely check it out, Jason, because I'm still looking for answers for my panel, because I still don't know exactly what I know what I want to do. I just don't know how to get there.
Well, I would have done the same thing. I'd use those push buttons like you have on the time saver, because they work just fine. But then I knew I was going to have reversing sections and all that mess, and and the 3-ways and the Y and all that. And I thought, no, I think I'll go with the touch toggles, because he's got all that stuff that wires in and just makes it work. Okay, change color.
We've got Randall Ellison in here now.
That is all nice and cleaned off. Not anymore. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to show everybody I guess I showed this on the show Saturday. The bin, not the bin, but the cribbing that I did for the trim house. that's all balsa wood, 1/8-inch square balsa. And see, it took that creosote stain a little bit more, but I also went over it after I got it glued up, because all the ends that are sticking out were all, of course, white, because I stained it before I started, glued it all together, and all these dead man ends on this were all white, because the stain didn't penetrate all the way through the stick. So I had to come back and wash it again. But that's okay, because then you get a variety. But this mine right here, the bottom of it is that same, this is that same creosote color. And it just gives a good worn wood look. But then, over here, I use the brown on that. But that's that creosote color, the stock pins. And it's just one coat on that. I didn't go over too much extra on that, so it's much lighter. And the other thing you can do is come in with a emery board and, scuff some places.
Yeah.
And get some variation like that too. See, this is all the dark brown.
When I built my my stock pins, that's one of the things I did. I put it, I can't remember, I think I used silver wood to begin with. After I got it on there, I went in with some sandpaper and kind of brought areas back down to the yellow natural wood color. And then dunked it in the dead wood.
So now to get this effect right here, I did all of the panels, and of course some of them are batten panels and some of them are lap siding, like you would find up there. And then of course the porch is all just plain wood. And I did all that with that creosote first. And then I came back over the top of the creosote on the wall panels with a diluted yellow craft paint. I think it's yellow ochre, I think is what I used on that, and gave it that yellow look, so it looks like faded paint.
Yeah. And
I'm real pleased with the way it came out. But I'll use that creosote color on the shingles, on these Campbell kits. They've got the shingles on the roof on most of the kits, and they're time consuming to put on, but they're really nice looking when you get finished with them. And you can leave them the plain color and they look like brand new shingles, cedar shingles. But cedar shingles don't stay that color all very long. They start graying out. And so I go over it with a creosote. And then you can take, places where you've got a vent coming through, something like that. You can put a little bit more on and have it running down the roof where the rains run on it. But yeah, I really like using the stains in that regard.
Yeah,
for old wood building, they work really well.
On my what's that? A piece of wire? On my fine scale miniatures water stop kit, they're on the far left end of the layout. I had no stains when I did that. That was like my first, I'm going to say it was my first Craftsman kit. It was probably my third, but it was my first in HO. And
I don't know what happened to the camera here. I
used watered down paint. I say watered, but I think I can't remember what else I used to get the gray color on it. But it's all paint. There's no stains anywhere on that particular structure.
Turn the camera off for some reason. Yeah, you can get. That's why I like using wood kits, because the stains work so much better on the wood than they do on plastic kits. Not that you can't do it on a plastic kit, but it's much tougher to get the effect, for me anyway, of what I want. Oh, the other thing I used it on, that creosote color, are the wood crossings that I've done. I'll take this off again so I can mess it up some more. Yeah, the wood crossings like right here. And then, of course, some of it's sanded after the fact. But all of the road, this is all concrete, plastic concrete patch. And Ken Patterson over at What's Neat this week, he had a video on how he did these, and it's real easy to do. And man, it makes a great blacktop road. And here's another. Oh, the light's not very good in here. There's another crossing that I did.
Yeah.
But to me, that creosote for me, that creosote color is the most versatile. Turned it off again. There we go. Huh. Well, I was going to, but I think I'm shorted somewhere. Yeah, I've got something laying on the tracks.
We got Lynn McCurdy in here now.
Hey, Lynn. Well, now I'm going to have to search that out. That's fun.
Well, you got a short?
Yeah, I got a short on the narrow gauge on the upper side. That's where I was going to run the trains.
Got any tools laying across it somewhere?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I shouldn't have, but you know how that is.
I know exactly how that is.
Oh, jeez. That's always fun. The last time it did this, it was one of the gaps. Something got in one of the gaps and was making it short across. Well, I have no idea. Well, sorry guys, I was going to run an engine across there, but I guess I'm not going to now because it's shorted and it'd take too long to find it. I'm sure I can find something else to do here.
Yeah, I just need to let this stuff dry now.
Well, now I know what I'm doing this afternoon. And it'll be something simple, I'm sure. But it's
it always is.
It's hunting it down. That's the pain.
Simple and small.
Yeah.
Well, now.
Oh well.
I have completed step 2, I believe. It says, please read these instructions before, oops. They're
Real men
They're
don't need
lucky
instructions.
I'm reading the instructions at all. What do you mean before? Says, then we cleaned up any flash on all the castings included in the kit and stained all of the wood. Make sure the wood is separated so it can dry quickly, which that's pretty much what I've done.
You know, Lynn, I think you might be exactly right. No, nope, that wasn't it. I've got something. Yeah, something's laying across the rail or the caps. It's always fun trying to find that stuff too. I got a feeling it's under here when I moved one of my terminal strips, and I've got about 20 wires in that thing, and I may have gotten them crossed at one point, and that's probably where it's at, because I don't see anything on the rails. But I'm not going to hunt it down right now. I'll just do some more painting.
It's hard to say which is the top and which is the bottom of that middle piece.
So what's everybody got on their Christmas list? Only 20. Only 20. Bernard's laughing at me, but I don't know why. Could be a lot of different things.
Oh yeah, I sent my wife a Christmas list. It may or might not have had a $1,500 division point K28 on it. I can't remember. She didn't even dignify it with a response. You know, I figured she would at least, you know, give me a nasty gram back or something.
Well, you know, I saw one go. There's a guy in Spain was selling some stuff, and he had one, and it went for 14.75 euro, something like that. I'd like to see one run in person, you know, just because they do cost so much, and I've heard they're really nice, but not paying anywhere close to that for one. 500 is about my limit, and I'm done doing that. So. And the only reason I bought this last one, well, not the only reason, but one of the main reasons I got this last one is I got it at fairly good price for what they're going for now. But I use that eBay credit. You take 6 months to pay for it. That's really nice.
I try and stay away from anything involving payment programs, if at all possible. Matter of fact, I don't remember the last time I bought something on payment besides a vehicle.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I did that when I bought my trailer from when I was doing my airplanes. And it's, you know, on the eBay thing, it's so much money. If you're over so much money, you got 6 months and no interest. So you're not paying anything extra. Yeah. And so that makes it pretty attractive, but
probably get a wider. You're supposed to glue this together with some type of epoxy. Which I've got some two-part epoxy, but I'm not sure.
What is it, metal pieces?
Yeah. And the dude I bought it from, he obviously had attempted to put the bridge together previously because it's got dried, I'm assuming, epoxy on it. So I need to clean all that up.
That's what a belt sander's for. Or a bench sander.
I don't think that's going to work in these recessed areas, though, unless I want to remove the recessed areas that are part of the.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Of course, that's one of the things. That's one of the things you take a chance on at eBay, and I've had some of that. I bought some Athearn F units as a powered A, a dummy A, and a dummy B in Western Pacific to pick up the other end of the Zephyr. And of course, he said they ran smooth, blah blah blah, which Athearns, they all do. And I get them, and the A unit, the powered units, it's got a short in it somewhere because it's just dead. It doesn't like nothing, which is not a big deal.
That happens all the time in shipping, Claude. I mean,
yeah, I know they're easy to fix. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I told him, I said, well, it didn't run when I got it here, but I'm not worried about that because I know they're not hard to fix. So, I told him it's no big deal. I just wanted to let him know it happened.
I got I think it was I can't remember if it was the very first either K36 or K37 that I attempted to purchase was from, it was off of eBay, but it was through Trains, Trainz, I think.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
What showed up was an O narrow gauge K36 or K37. I was like, are you kidding me? You guys are supposed to be some kind of, I don't know. I mean, they're a train store, right? It's right in the name. How would
maybe
you
not specialist,
know whether or not it was
at least
or
yeah.
O? But they
sell these things and you don't know what you're selling.
Yeah. I shipped it back and they gave me my money, so it was okay.
Yeah, it's just a hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the stuff, and I think I've got almost 1,000 feedback on eBay, and I've only had a couple of problems, and most of them are easily handled. If the seller or buyer is not just a rotten person, then it's pretty easy to take care of. But there again, you don't want to have to go through the hassle of returning stuff and all that mess.
Yeah,
especially anymore with shipping charges.
I haven't talked about it yet, but I do plan on doing a short end of the year update sometime before the end of the day, before I go back to my home away from home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll mention in that, my last LCC purchase ended up being faulty, and they had me a new one shipped within 24 hours of me saying, hey, they are really good people to deal with.
Yeah, I found a lot of the vendors anymore are usually pretty good. The mainstream vendors. It's like Kevin over at Barrett Hill. I mean, I had one unit and I fought it for a while thinking it was something I did. I couldn't get some of my toggles to work, and come to find out it was the base unit was bad, because when I started taking stuff apart to see if I could figure out what was wrong, and I took it off and everything started the rest of the layout started working, and I thought, So I plugged it back in and checked it with some by itself with some toggles, and nothing would work on it.
Yeah. And see,
And
now
I
I'm not
told him, he
100% sure.
Do what?
So I'm not 100% sure now, because when I plugged the new one in that they sent me, which I just got yesterday. No, it was the day before. Got it Friday night. I put it in first thing Saturday morning after the show, and I had the same issue. And then so I ended up looking at one of my tabs, my tortoise adapter boards, and they did not solder the entire plug-in. They got there's 10 pins on that plug, and they only soldered 2 of the 10. So the ribbon cable leaving one adapter board going to the other, from one tortoise to the other, was not communicating the message. And that, I thought that it was a dead line, and I'm still not convinced it's not, because in my tester, and what I should have done is tested it on a different tortoise, but I didn't. But my tester board, I got a tester light board, it would not light up on the 9th line. So I said, well, there you go, because that was the line I was working on.
Yeah.
And I had the same thing happen when I put the brand new one in. I was like, okay, something's not right here. And then I got to looking at the adapter board and found that soldering issue. All I did was swap out that board for a different one, where I did, because there's 2 plugs on each of those. And if you use the one, they come in sets of 4. If you use it as number 4, you only need one of those 2 plugs. And so that's what I did to work around it. Even though I know I could solder it and fix it if I needed to, but I didn't need to, so I didn't mess with it.
Yeah. Well, the one I had that Kevin said, he said that's a common thing that happens sometimes, because he said there's one really small wire that has to be soldered in there, and sometimes it'll come loose in shipping or packaging, when they're putting it in the packaging. He said that's one of their more common things that happens. And he sent me another one before I even had a chance to get the old one, the bad one, in the mail. I had the other one.
Well, RR Circuit sent me an empty box. They sent me the new one in the box.
To ship it back in?
To ship it back in with prepaid postage. So yeah. They're awesome. And when you talk to Karen, she's the sales, that's Dick's wife.
Uh-huh.
You talk to her, you just know at any time during the conversation, say, well, why don't you guys come on over for dinner?
Yeah.
Just that,
that's
that
the way
kind
Kevin,
of friendliness.
Yeah, that's the way Kevin kind of is. He's like, and he knows me now. I've called him, a half dozen times. I called him on one deal. I had bought something from DCC Concepts. It was a turnout motor, but it was a surface mount screw type. And I was going to use it up here on the Y because it would have simplified things. Well, I ended up not going with that, but I was trying to figure out how to get it to work with the touch toggles. And he said, oh, you need, we make a logistics board or something like that for it. And he said, I can send that to you and it should take care of your problem. And before he did, I made the decision not to go that way, but they had something for that too. I was like, dang, they got it all covered. Well, there's nothing to make up for customer service.
That's sure. Absolutely right.
That's one of the greatest.
Backed up by good customer service can't be beat.
Yep. And that's one of Brenda's biggest pet peeves, because that's what she did for their company was, well, she did a lot of everything for their company, but the reason people raved about their company and about her was because of her customer service. If somebody called with a problem, she took care of it right then. She didn't wait, until it was convenient. She went and did it. And, there's so many places now you call and you say something to them, and oh, it's like if they get a chance, they'll look at it,
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, it's not, the light over here is not great, but I'm going to take this off and kind of show you what that. I put this black wash on, and you can see this is wet up here, so you can see how dark that is. Well, these down here were just as dark, and this one, you can see how the black is almost gone. Now this one I got a little darker, a little more paint in the crevices because I wanted to stay dark, and like up here in the holes and stuff like that, a little bit darker. But these right here were, fairly dark. And these I got a little darker, got a little more paint on those. But a lot of times it'll mellow out, and then it starts looking like what you've got what I've got up on the backdrop. And of course, once I get the ground cover and greenery in there, it'll really change things.
Now, where you attached it to the backdrop, is there foam attached to the backdrop and then like sculpt a mold and castings, or how did you actually go about doing that?
Yeah, this has got foam board in it. The mountains are mainly foam board on both sides. Well, you can see the corner of it here. Yeah, all that fell in as foam board, and then I did plaster cloth over the foam board, then the sculpt mold, and then as I was doing the sculpt mold, I put the rock castings on. So I glue the rock castings with the sculpt mold, and it works pretty good. And I just push it right up against the side. I still got to get in there, and you can see where it's on the backdrop. I got to clean that off, but it's going to have some vegetation along there and some riprap, and some talus and stuff, and of course trees and whatnot. But yeah, it's a process, and of course, the more you do it, the more you figure it out, and can make it look like you want down the road. That's just like over here. Now, see over here, this is all, now that's plaster, not plaster. It's foam board mainly behind this, but not a lot. That's mainly rock castings on that. But that's what I wanted it to look like, so that it would, I just wanted a little cut through there that they had to cut to make this Y. But I was trying to fix this corner right here that was kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get back up here so I can turn the camera off again. Yeah, scenery, I think, is one of the more fun things I like about the hobby.
It's the most rewarding, in my opinion, because you can, if you're ready to start that process in an 8-hour day, you can completely transform, an 8-foot by 2-foot area just that quick.
Oh yeah. Well, it's if you go back and see my videos where I was doing the,
I believe I've watched every one of your videos.
Yeah, the transformation here in the cattle yard area. Yeah, the transformation down here in the cattle pens really went a long way. And one of the biggest things smallest things actually I did that made the biggest impact was that I bought those barbed wire kits from Woodland Scenics, and I put them right up against the backdrop because I've got cows on that backdrop. And then, of course, you got the railroad line going down right next to the backdrop. So I put that barbed wire fence in there. Didn't have to paint it or nothing because the posts on it are that gray, look like weathered wood. And it's got actual barbed wire in between it. Feels like, I mean, it's rough. And that dressed that up immensely. and made that transition between the two just seamless.
Yeah.
So that's some of the tricks that you can do. Some of the other places that I've got where I've got backdrop and stuff close, not so much, but well, down here on this spot. Now this is not sculpt mold here. This is the fusion fiber, but I finally ran out of that and the guy's not making it anymore. So I've been using sculpt mold, but did the same thing there, just kind of built it up a little bit and then put the trees. And if that's one thing too, if you're going to put trees close to a backdrop, make sure you get them right against the backdrop.
Yeah.
So,
have
you don't get a shadow behind it.
We talked about Lex Parker on one of those shows. One of the things that he does is he shaves the back side of the tree so that you
makes
you
it flat.
Literally glue it to the back of the backdrop.
Yeah. Well, these trees are so skinny, I didn't have to do that, but you want to set them right against it so that you don't get a shadow on the thing.
Of course, a lot of those little things I don't really overly concern myself with because.
Well, I don't either. But see, in this tree back here, you can see the shadow on it because I didn't get it close enough.
Yeah, but you have to be looking for it,
Yeah.
That's kind of like feeder drops. If someone comes onto your railroad and goes, "Hey, there's a feeder drop," come on, man.
Yeah. All my feeder drops are soldered to the outside of the rail. But see, I got all these trees back in here. Now there's a shadow from the bridge. It's not real noticeable, but when I get lighting up here above this and the valance above this, it's going to show more. I'm thinking about maybe running a low wattage LED strip on the backside of the bridge to kind of get rid of that shadow back there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll play with that and see what happens. I think it'll end up looking okay. But anyway, if it doesn't, it's like I say, I'm not that big on it either. It's not like I'm going to call up Model Railroader and say, "Hey, I want it in your magazine." I'm not like Dennis. I do have an autographed copy of his article though, so that's two people I have that have been published that I've got their autograph and their article. Steve sent me that one of that. He wrote that. I think showed it on the show one day. He had done an article for, remember the magazine, not Rail Fan, might have been Rail Fan. Hell, I don't remember now. But it was about the ferries in San Francisco Bay. Santa Fe had their own tugboats and everything, and he talked about that. He'd actually done it one time, had to take trains across it on it one time, or it loaded one side, I guess. But he wrote an article for it, which was pretty good. So he sent me an autographed copy of it.
That's cool.
I don't know who else cares about that but me, but if I show it to anybody, they go, "Oh yeah, cool."
Yeah, I forget who it was. There was somebody who left a comment back when I was working on, my Building Silver Gulch video series.
Yeah.
And he said I needed to get up Cripple Creek or up some creek. There's a publication that Harry Brunk, he did, I think like 35 or 40 articles for the Gazette back in the 80s or whatever. And they condensed them all into one publication called Up Clear Creek, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
And
probably
a lot of the buildings that I'm going to say a lot, but at least 3 or 4 of the buildings that I'm putting in Silver Gulch are the same area, same street that Harry Brunk did on his railroad. And he said I needed to get that. And he sent me, in an email, he sent me something. A little bit. He sent me a PDF of the pictures of one of the buildings. So I went ahead and bought that. And when I bought it, the guy I bought it from, there's like 3 or 4 letters from Harry Brunk to the guy who I purchased this from. So I've got letters, you know, back from the 1980s, I believe, that exchanged between these two people. It's pretty cool. Not that anybody would ever care, but that railroad is one. There's probably 3 different railroads that really inspired me to do what I'm doing, and that is the top 2 right there. Is his railroad. Hey, Heath's in here now.
Uh-oh, there goes the neighborhood.
Heath wants an autographed pointer. That's not what you're going to get in the mail from me, Heath. I'm just going to tell you straight up. Your Christmas present for me will not be a pointer. Rockstar drumstick. I've got some drumsticks somewhere. My drums are collecting dust. Along with all my guitars, basses, and auxiliary percussion, and my banjo. My daughter's got my mandolin. She said she's going to get it back to me someday, but I guess I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of my daughters for 2 years now.
Maybe she'll bring it to the funeral.
Yeah, that's probably the way it's going to work.
That's what you tell her. He said, you don't have to bring it back to the funeral, but you got to play something.
I don't think she's learned. I think that she had a boyfriend at the time that was a musician, and her interest in getting the mandolin was to let him play around with it, is what I think. And I think she's now has a different boyfriend, I guess. I've never met one of her boyfriends.
Wants to play something else.
Yeah.
I got sloppy with the paint.
Heath says, I don't think they can see the chat. I wonder who they is. Oh, they're talking about yeah. I mean,
Talking about
I
us.
look over at chat every once in a while.
Yeah, we're not paying that much attention to chat. Yeah, I'll do that later. Bernard said the dentist, he picked up his guitar again, and it seems to be helping with finger dexterities. Yeah, I'm sure it would.
I think I have some carpal tunnel from playing bass guitar, just kind of my theory. When was it? It was probably 3 weeks ago. I forget what it was I was working on that 3-way. I got so frustrated.
Bernard said he should say he's about mastered Mary Had a Little Lamb. Now you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But I remember I played
so
cello in fourth
frustrated
grade.
working on that 3-way that I threw my hands up in the air and went in and picked up my bass guitar and just did nothing but play music for about an hour before I could come back out here because I was that frustrated.
Sometimes you got to, yeah. Well, in fourth grade,
I'm still frustrated because this is still not where I want it to be, and I still have one more to build. And I'm just slow playing it.
In the narrow gauge, they're a challenge for sure. Yeah, in fourth grade, I played cello, and I learned to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star 6 different ways. That was
Well,
my
Heath, this
claim
is
to
not
fame
my
with
channel.
instruments.
This is Back on Track channel. I haven't gone live for 2 weekends now because I haven't felt like there's anything, which I probably would have considered going live today just to do this because it would be something that somebody could see. And before I made that decision, Claude texted me, so that's how all that happened.
Well, I was planning on doing an update, and I still will film an update when we get off of
Yeah,
here.
that's what as soon as we get finished here, that's probably what I'm going to do is go ahead and do.
Well, I haven't had one out in
what
3 or 4 months. I haven't had one out in 3 or 4 months.
You've got a lot done.
I know.
You've got a ton of stuff done.
Well, the bad thing is I'll be doing something. I think, okay, I'm going to do an update right after I get done with it, and I get started on something else before I do the update. But yeah, I've got quite a bit done since the last time I did an update. I don't think I had any of this mine district even installed yet. I have to go back and look at it. It's been so long, I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't recall on your last update. I know that even when we do Back on Track, you're reluctant to show us what you've done in the last couple of weeks, which I understand why. I can't remember I want to say the last actual update you did might have been
August or September.
Well,
maybe.
It seemed to me like the subject matter was your feed pin, but I could be wrong about that.
It was probably when I got finished with that, as far as putting the gates, putting all the fencing up.
Yeah.
So that would have been before I put the upper deck, this part of the upper deck on. Because before this, the only part of the upper deck I had was where the Y sits and then over to the steel bridge. That's the only part I had on the upper deck. So now I've got this part here.
Bernard wants to know how many mines are on your layout.
No, Bernard, you're not going to find out that way. Now at the very first of this video or this live stream, I did pan around. I didn't show you all the mines, but I showed the mining district, and not all the mines are up here yet. Now they don't include the ones on the backdrops, just the ones I'm building. But if you remember my channel, I have another mine over in another part of the layout. So that one does count. And then I've got some up here, and then, of course you could always guess. So I've got 2 of them built up here. I got 2 mock-ups, and then one's not built yet. So I could pan that around real quick if you want to see it again. Let me put this one where it's going to actually go.
Yeah, I agree, Heath. We need to see updates from Claude more often.
Yeah, you know how it is. Well, it's like when during the show, Back on Track, I hesitate to show stuff because I usually have crap laying out here. And when I do an update, I clean most of that off of here. So, you're not looking at that. Nobody wants to see all that stuff. They want to see the layout. So anyway, there's a top tram house and the bottom tram house to one mine. There's a mine, but this mine's not going to sit there. It'll be over here in this corner. And there's another mock-up, and there's the other mock-up, and there's another one in there somewhere. So you got to figure it out from that. It's not like it's hard to do. The information is out there. If you use your head a little bit, it's in what I just said, but
Reminds me, the post office my post office is only open for 2 hours a day. And so anything I need to do at the post office, I have to stop whatever it is I'm doing and be there by like 1:01, or it's not going to get done. And I got to send back my LCC node, and put a couple other things in the mail.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I just shake my head at the commercial on, at Christmas time. USPS always puts that commercial out. Oh, we do every city, everywhere, blah, blah, blah. I've had so many things sitting in the regional warehouse here in town for a week or two and not get to me. And then I had the debacle with I sent a bunch of HO stuff to Nancy up in Seattle a couple of years ago. And that package went from here to LA to Seattle to New Jersey. Tried to go to Vermont, went back to New Jersey, back to Seattle, back to New Jersey. They tried to go to Vermont again. Went back to New Jersey, back to Seattle, back to Jersey. And in that meantime, I finally got a hold of a guy in the Seattle regional warehouse, which is about 6 blocks from where she lives, or did at the time. That's how close it got to her, 3 or 4 times. And I finally got a hold of him and explained what was going on. I said, the address on it is right. But what had happened was, here in the post office here, they put the wrong tracking number on it. They put somebody else's tracking number, and that's what they were using. And it kept kicking it back and forth. And that tracking number was going to Vermont, evidently. And but why it went to Seattle to start with, if the tracking number was wrong, I have no idea. But it went back and forth, and he finally caught it. He had to catch it manually when it came through, but he had it flagged to catch it on that tracking number. And she finally ended up getting it all, but it was a nightmare. Yes, please. Yeah, I'll take it up here. I'll eat in front of Dennis. But yeah, it's I laugh every time I see that commercial, because it's like, yeah, not really. Now, on the other hand, my personal mail guy that comes to our house most of the time, all but one day a week, he gets a gift card from me every year to the steakhouse, because he's really good, especially when I was buying all this stuff off of eBay and he's delivering all these packages. Yeah, he's very good. So I make sure to let him know. But the vast majority of them, yeah, they're government workers. They don't care.
Yeah, I can vouch for a certain type of government worker attitude, because I've worked in government for way too long.
Yeah. Well, my dad worked for FHA. Now, the one good thing came out of that, he had that government employee health insurance. So mom had her not Social Security, Medicare, and then her secondary Medicare stuff, and then that government insurance. She was in the hospital a couple of times. I know one of them, it was over 6 figures, and she didn't have to pay a penny of it. It picked up every bit of it. So that was a godsend, because she didn't have the money to pay it if, we'd ended up having to pay the bill on it. But yeah, that was a good part of it. But yeah, Dad used to complain about the guys, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Well, he was on
the way I've
disaster.
always described it is real simple. A government employee gets paid the same whether they do their job well or whether they're a total piece of crap, because they make the same amount of money regardless.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? In private business, there's a payoff for good service, good product, good everything. There's a payoff, and that is a revenue increase. There is no revenue increase. In fact, you might be able to argue that if things are bad enough in government, you can then say, well, we need more taxpayer dollars so that we can get better.
Yeah.
So don't even get me started.
Yeah, you're right, though.
Might be
You're
a
right,
good
though.
time to end the stream.
In private business, there's more incentive to do well.
Right.
And in government, there's not. in a government job, there's not. But you know, anyway. I don't know what else I'm going to work on right at the moment because I don't want to get a bunch more stuff out. But I did get those rocks looking pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
And once they get the once they get some ground cover and stuff like that on them, they'll look pretty good. That's what I was after. Oh, I know what I need to put on there. I need to put a little green on there. I may do that with ground cover. This one right here,
green paint?
I don't know if you can see that on the camera. This has got some green on it, and it almost looks like maybe some copper or something else in the rock. I can't tell if it's vegetation on it. It looks like the rock, but it might be vegetation. I can't really tell. It's that green gray color. I did tell you I finally found some sage color, didn't I? For sagebush.
I don't know if you did or not.
I got it down here on the, it's this one right here. So if you're looking for a true sage color.
Oh yeah.
For the Western United States, it's this right here. Scenic Express, Sage Super Turf. And I've been looking for that color forever, and Woodland Scenics doesn't have it. And that just drives me crazy.
Is it ground foam, or does it have, what kind of texture does it have to it? Is it just ground foam?
It's more like clump foliage.
Okay.
So it's real easy. Just pinch it off and stick it on the layout, and it looks like, well, here, let me take this down. I can spin this around. See, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
You see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the closest thing I found to looking like sage that you see all over the Western United States. That trip we took this summer, that's all we saw. A few Joshua trees and then pine trees and sage. Thank you, Beck. Ooh, she brought me lunch. No, she brought me lunch, not you. My dog's in here going, I hear you crunching on Cheetos, Betty. But yeah, that should come out pretty good. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Of course, it also helps when you can visualize. Some people can't do that. My wife can't do it. But I can kind of see what it could look like. It's just the steps to get there.
Yeah, the way you've got your backdrop interfaced with the rise and fall of everything is really good.
Well, that's what I did. That's why, like over here, I came up real high because this is where it comes in. Now, this is just masonite painted blue. Because I was originally envisioning that mountain coming out further, but I decided not to. But I'll also have the fascia, I'll have a valance up here above that. So, because this second level is perfect for me to stand here. It's almost eye level, just slightly below eye level to me. So I won't be seeing that anyway. And then when I run the lower level, I'll sit on the stool and run it. But yeah, I think it's going to come out okay. Oh, Bernard's dad was a postman for 43 years. Oh, I can imagine back then, especially after the war. Bernard.
Well, my grandmother was a postmaster. My grandfather carried the star route from here in May out past Slap Out to a place called, the heck is it? I mean, if you bat an eye, you're going to miss it. It's smaller than Slap Out.
And Bernard said he wants to know if I want him to send me some. He's got 50 acres of sage. Yeah, I don't want the real stuff. Although it can smell good. Yeah, did you ever see that? You know that gas station that sit on the northeast corner? There at Slap Out. I'm not sure what highway that is. It goes north there.
See, I can't think of one on the northeast corner. I can think of one on the southwest corner.
No, there was one on the northeast corner. But this was back in 2001 was the first time I saw it. Brenda knew where Slap Out was because she shipped.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Inglewood?
Oh, I don't know. The sign said Slap Out, and then we came up to that intersection.
Inglewood or Elmwood.
Well, the reason I say that is because in that little gas station, I don't think they had a cafe in there. I think it was just a gas station. But you go in, and up on the wall they had a pair of panties, granny panties, and that thing covered the entire wall. You could have slept a whole troop of scouts under that. And on the panties, in great big letters, it said "Slap Out, Oklahoma, USA" or something like that. Yeah. I remember I'll never forget seeing that. That was pretty funny. And I don't think that station's there anymore, because we've been out there since, and I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, and it could be one of those things that it popped up and disappeared in the time frame that I didn't, go through there very often.
Well, it looked like an older gas station, but God, there's nothing there. There was something on the two south corners of that intersection. Nothing on the northwest corner, I don't think.
Yeah, because there's not much of an intersection there. The roads going north and south don't go anywhere.
Well, and they're both 2-lane. It's right. Just a 2-lane intersection is all it is. But yeah, we enjoy going that way when we go to Colorado because it's direct and there's no traffic on it. Once you get past Enid, you don't have any traffic.
Nope.
And the road's pretty decent. The only thing you got to watch out is antelope.
Yeah. And I've never seen an antelope come across the highway.
I have. Yeah, out on the Panhandle, out by the other side of Guyman, and then also in New Mexico, just west of Goodland, between Goodland and Stringer, New Mexico. That's a long stretch of 2-lane highway, and it's pretty straight. And we've seen lots of antelope cross the highway there. Usually they're in a pack over off the side of the highway, but every once in a while we see them cross.
What kind of epoxy do you recommend for metal?
Sorry, I was eating a sandwich. There's some stuff called Allcraft. That would work well, but you'll have to look it up on the internet and probably have it shipped to you because it's not easy to find. But it's a really good epoxy.
Kind of wondering if maybe
it's a paste
in it.
It's a paste, but it would hold it for sure. Then there's some other stuff called PC7. You can find that in pretty much any hardware store. And it's a 2-part paste epoxy. But if you've got room on the inside of that, I would string a little piece of basswood or like a popsicle stick or something inside there to hold that.
Well, the problem is it's not really level.
Well, you can feel.
I was thinking maybe about pinning it, drilling small holes and putting some
Does
bronze wire or something through there. But
does that overlap?
yeah, you've got to.
Yeah, that all craft epoxy would hold it with just what you got there.
I think it would only need to hold it long enough that then when you put your timbers across the side, across the top of both, I guess that's what do you call that, a deck girder or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna give it a lot of strength once you do that. But in the meantime, there's not a lot there holding it together.
Yeah, you'd want to use a splint it with a piece of wood and clamp it to that piece of wood so it stays straight. But that all craft epoxy would work. And like I say, that PC7 is a little easier to find. I'm not sure if it would hold it as well. It should work, but because it's both of those, once they cure, you can sand it, drill it, all kinds of stuff. Oh, Bernard, it's probably pot metal.
Yeah, it's a white metal casting, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's just going to be a pot metal, and I don't know that you could solder that. You'd probably melt it before you could get it. See you later, Heath. Merry Christmas. We don't see you again.
Yep. Yeah, maybe if you had really low temperature solder, maybe. I don't know. That's an idea, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I feel like I could do it if you could keep it straight in the process. That's the whole thing, though, is that this is recessed, so there's no way you can run anything across the top there that is flush because you've got a hump over the top of it.
Well, I was talking about, yeah, like right there. So if you put a stick on this side where your thumbs are, on that flat side, it wouldn't hold it straight.
Because this is raised up, so you'd end up with, your wood bending from one side to the other.
Well, even if you laid it on the table, it wouldn't stay.
Well,
would it stay flat that way?
Yeah, it'll stay flat, but whatever this would have to it'd have to flex over the top, which
well,
I
was just
that
thinking
that would be better than nothing.
I was just thinking of putting something on there just to keep it straight until it dried. Could you put the piece of wood
on the other end, which is making everything interface at an angle rather than actually be flush? You can't really see it from that angle, but you really need to kind of glue it together like that, probably straight up and down.
Yeah.
I know, I'll figure it out. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to look good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that one from Kitwood Hills was, it's the girder looks like that, but it's wood. It's all laser cut ply and basswood. Like I say, it was a really nice kit to put together.
It's another thing. I'm not entirely sure which is the top and which is the bottom of this piece. They don't provide any pictures for the most part.
Is it straight on both edges?
this piece is, the middle piece is. The only difference is you've got this thing here. I'm presuming that that's the bottom.
I would guess, yeah.
It's just a guess because they don't show the backside of it anywhere. And I can't tell a difference looking at the front of it. Anything that indicates this is absolutely the top and that's absolutely the bottom.
Yeah.
But I think I will probably figure that out once I build, how it goes in here.
Yeah, they don't have any diagrams on there at all, do they?
I do have diagrams, but not very many.
Well, I had a turntable I was going to give you, but I think it was only a 50-footer, wasn't it?
Yeah, will a C19 even fit on a 50-footer?
I don't know. The one that I've got, the Durango turntable, is only a 60, and they put K36s on them.
Is it
And
really?
it's only a 60-foot, I think. I know the model I've got of it is only 60 feet.
So I was thinking a K37 was in the 80-foot range. Of course, I don't have my scale ruler here because I left it in the camper trailer down at Sarah because I'm working on.
Yeah, my scale ruler's downstairs. Yeah, I don't know if the C19 would fit on there or not. It was probably made when they still had the 10-wheelers.
Well, that takes care of that. This needs to be, I presume, hollowed out, but I need to read before I do anything. But I probably need to call it quits because I'm going to have to go to the post office here just any minute.
Oh, yeah, it's 12:33.
Yep. Yeah, well, we've been going for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Usually happens that way. Well, let's just go ahead and sign off.
Okay.
Everybody in chat, have a Merry Christmas.
Looks
If
like
we
it's
don't see you
Bernard.
before then. Yeah. Well, it says we got 8 watching. But you never know. But yeah, you guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if we don't see you before then. We don't have a show Saturday, but we do have one New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve morning, we will do a show. So if you're so inclined and not do anything with relatives, that sort of thing, drop in and see us. And until then, we will see you later. See you later, Dennis.
Yep. Take care, man.
Have a Merry Christmas. Bye.
You too.